You ever see a day start out so ordinary you'd bet your last dollar nothing crazy could possibly happen? Yeah, that's what I thought when I rolled out of bed that July morning. Still rubbing sleep from my eyes. The sun not even up over Charlotte yet. Humidity already tapping at my window like, get ready, girl, it's gonna be a hot one. My grandma Bessie, already bustling in the kitchen, humming like she did every flight day. Cinnamon rolls in the oven, coffee strong enough to stand a spoon in, her voice floating down the hallway. Can't sleep through a flight day, sugar. I'd heard that since I was 6, but never got tired of it. That's how my day began. Just another Tuesday, just another flight to Boston. Just another time I'd hug her tight at the curb and promise to call the second my feet hit the ground. But let me tell you, by midnight, my name would be on the lips of every news anchor from Atlanta to Anchorage. Not because I'd planned it, not because I'd ever wanted attention, but because the universe sometimes throws you into the deep end just to see if you can swim. I guess you want to know how a 13-year-old black girl ended up standing in a commercial cockpit, staring down 2 grown pilots and telling them how to save 217 lives while alarms blared and the Atlantic got closer with every shudder of the plane. It's wild, right? Still doesn't feel real to me. And I lived every second. See, flying never scared me. Not once, not even as a kid. My granddad Wendell, Tuskegee Airman, story for another time, used to say I had jet fuel in my veins. He taught me stuff no kid was supposed to know, not just how to spot a crosswind by the trees or the thrum of a landing gear coming up, but how to listen for trouble in the bones of a plane, stuff you can't read in any textbook. That morning, all I carried was a physics book, my grandpa's pocket watch, and the kind of confidence you only get when you love something so much it's part of who you are. You know what's funny? Nobody on that flight looked twice at me. Just a skinny kid in a NASA shirt. Seat 14C, grinning at the window, nodding politely to the business guy who plopped down next to me and immediately put on his noise-canceling headphones. The lady on my other side, Mabel, kept showing me pictures of her new grandbaby, her southern accent curling around every word. First one, honey, can you believe it? And the flight crew. They were all smiles, handing me apple juice and pretzels, calling me Miss Jackson like I was some VIP, when really, I was just another unaccompanied minor heading north for the summer. If only they knew. The climb out of Charlotte was smooth, engines purring, skies so blue you'd swear nothing bad could ever happen up there. But somewhere over Virginia, I felt it, a vibration. So subtle nobody else would have caught it. Mabel kept talking, but my attention was on the floor, the armrest, the whine in the left engine, just a hair off normal. It was déjà vu. A lesson from Grandpa suddenly loud in my memory. I asked Karen, the flight attendant, is there a problem with the hydraulics? She smiled tight, eyes flickering. Everything's fine, sweetie. But I saw her whisper to another crew member, both of them glancing at me like, what does this kid know? That's when the plane shuddered, harder this time. Oxygen masks dropped. People started screaming, and suddenly everyone realized something was really, really wrong. You could taste fear in the air. The businessman ditched his headphones. Mabel grabbed my hand so tight I thought she'd break it. Lightning flashed out the window, turbulence tossing us like a toy. I stood up, with the seatbelt sign on, and made my way toward the galley, my heart pounding but my brain laser sharp, every word Grandpa ever taught me right there at the front of my mind. I caught Karen, who by now was fighting panic herself, and told her, low and serious, the pilots need to switch to the auxiliary hydraulics, or we're all in trouble. She looked at me like I'd grown a second head. You need to get back to your seat. I'm not guessing, I said. Please, just tell them. Maybe it was the way I said it. Maybe it was the look in my eyes. But she hesitated, nodded, and rushed up the aisle. Minutes stretched, chaos everywhere, the plane dropping in sickening lurches, emergency lights flickering. Finally, Karen came back, her face cut and pale. The captain wants to know how you knew about the hydraulics. This was it, do or die. Tell him I need to speak to him directly. There isn't time to explain. I think she saw something in me. Maybe just a kid too stubborn to die that day. Because next thing I knew, I was at the cockpit door, alarms wailing, pilots drenched in sweat. Every light on the panel blazing red. Captain Miller's hands locked on the controls, co-pilot Henderson yelling status updates, neither willing to believe a kid could help. But when I started talking like I'd lived in that cockpit all my life, about hydraulic pressure, manual overrides. The exact failure sequence from the lightning strike. You could see the skepticism crack, just a bit. My granddad flew these birds for decades. He taught me every failure mode. I didn't blink. You've got 27 seconds before the backup generator overloads, and if you don't disengage the primary, you'll lose both. Silence, except for the alarms. And then, miracle, Captain Miller nodded. Tell me what to do. I gave him step-by-step instructions, voice shaking but steady enough, calling out checklists, watching their hands fly over switches. The plane stabilized. Alarms quieting one by one, the nose finally pointing where it should. That feeling. The whole crew suddenly looking at me not as a passenger, but as the reason they might live. Let me tell you. It was heavy. That's when the twist hit, right? I saw Henderson's hands trembling, not with fear, but with awe. How old are you? 13, sir. He just shook his head, a laugh, almost a sob. Unbelievable. But we weren't out of danger. We still had to land, with partial systems, in a storm, emergency vehicles lining the Baltimore runway, fire trucks waiting like grim spectators. I watched from the jump seat, clutching Grandpa's watch like it could anchor me to the earth, while Miller fought the controls, Henderson cranking the manual gear. Both men relying on a child's memory. The touchdown was hard. Too hard. The brakes only half working. The plane eating up runway until finally, we stopped. In that hush after disaster. Miller turned, his voice cracking. You saved us. No protocol covers this, but I'd do it again. You know what I mean? That's not the kind of thing you forget. The aftermath was a blur, evacuation. Paramedics, airline officials grilling me and the crew, people trying to wrap their heads around what had happened. Dad showed up, panic and pride all tangled up, hugging me so hard I couldn't breathe. The media storm hit. Headlines, interviews. The whole country suddenly invested in the story of a black girl who'd saved the day. Though all I'd really done was remember what Grandpa drilled into me and have the guts to speak up when it counted. Captain Miller, to his credit, didn't let anyone take that away from me. He handed me his wings. You earned these. And made damn sure everyone knew whose voice he'd listened to in that cockpit. People kept asking, were you scared? Of course I was. Only fools aren't scared when everything's on the line. But Grandpa always said courage isn't never being scared. It's doing what you gotta do anyway. The weirdest part? The story didn't end when the cameras left. The airline started a scholarship in my name. The FAA rewrote some guidelines, admitting maybe, just maybe, there's value in listening outside the chain of command, in recognizing knowledge wherever it appears. Months later, I'm in Atlanta, sitting in a flight simulator surrounded by kids 3 years older than me. Captain Miller texting before his own flights, reminding me the airplane doesn't care who's right, only what's right. Every time I see a little girl with her nose pressed to the airport glass, I stop and tell her, ask your questions. Learn everything you can. Someday, you'll be the one who saves the day. The legacy isn't just about a single flight, or a miracle landing, or a kid who refused to sit down and be quiet. It's about breaking the rules when the rules are wrong. About seeing beyond the surface. About knowing your worth even when nobody else does, yet. You want to know if justice was done, if every barrier fell after that day? Not a chance. The world doesn't change overnight. But the door cracked open, and you better believe I'm going to keep pushing until the whole damn wall comes down. Maybe that's what Grandpa meant all along. Excellence is the best answer to doubt. And if you're wondering, yeah, I still wear those wings, right beside his old Tuskegee ones. Every time I step onto a plane. Because the sky, it's still waiting for me. And now, maybe, for a lot more people than just me. If you've ever seen someone underestimated, or been that person yourself, share your story below. Because the world's full of experts nobody listens to. Until one day, they're the only ones who can save us. That's the truth. You just have to be willing to hear it.